Right, Donna, let's start with you. How big a problem do you think this is?
Huge.
In what way?
I'd say that it is a very large problem in the British Army, and the chain of command just will not deal with it. It's ignored.
And that's backed up by facts, isn't it, Mike Dewar? 43% of all Army complaints are linked to female harassment, and those complaints have risen sixfold in the last 2 years. It's terrible, isn't it?
I don't. I think you're generalising from those statistics.
Well, I'm not. These are facts.
Of course, you said 43% of complaints.
Yes.
Yes.
So just under half
we don't know
of all
how.
complaints.
We don't know the status of those complaints, or indeed how many of them had proper grounds.
But what we do know, they are huge if you compare it to what happens in the Navy and the Royal Air Force. I mean,
there is, first of all, a greater
Army.
percentage of women and men working together on a daily basis in the other two services than in the Army. I think what we're talking about here particularly is the environment in the infantry and similar organisations in the Army, where there is a heavy gender bias in the direction of the male gender. In, for instance, the infantry, where there are tiny numbers of women and a lot of men. Now, I'm not in any way quite clearly commenting on Donna's individual case. I know nothing about it. It would be very wrong of me to comment. But I do know from personal experience, I have commanded a large establishment, including women.
For over 30 years. And did you
No, I'm talking about a particular 2 years when I was in command, where I commanded a number of women, around about 10%, around about 100, of a total number of around about 1,000. And there were very few cases, and I think this is the point I want to make, very few cases. To pretend it's a generality just is not true.
Okay. And to say that it is very much, it is the state, it goes on from day one, really. I mean, I had it from 1987 to 2005.
I mean, sexual harassment of any kind is clearly wrong. There can be no doubt about that. I think it is true that in a largely male environment, there is a tendency in an atmosphere where you don't complain, soldiers don't complain, you crack on, you get on, to discourage complaints. I think that is true, and I think the Army is having to relearn matters there as they accommodate more women in the armed forces. So there is a learning curve, and there's a lot to learn.
And there's also,
but to suggest that it's a generality and that this is a norm just is not the case.
It is the norm. I'm sorry, I disagree. I know what it's like. I've seen it, and you know, it's not only just women; it's men as well. Men are raped, men are sexually harassed as well.
Okay, I want to read out something that the MOD sent us today. The Armed Forces does not tolerate any forms of bullying, they say, discrimination and abuse. We take all these issues seriously, and all allegations will be thoroughly investigated, and where appropriate, action will be taken. They say they are doing what they need to do. What do you want the MOD to do, Donna?
Well, I've even tried to get in touch with the military police and main building Whitehall to say, look, I'm a victim. You want to learn lessons, come and talk to the victims. They ignore it, you see.
Donna, I'm not disputing your experience. What I am saying...
But I am talking for other people as well that have come up to me and said that this goes on. And until you address the issue, they say they have zero tolerance. They have zero tolerance to do anything about it.
Bullying does go on in the military, I accept that, and I haven't tried to deny that.
And maybe, Mike Dewar, but maybe the issue is that the message from top down is not clear enough, and maybe people are unaware of what's
I do
happening
believe
on the
it
ground.
is. I mean, the message from my commanders was quite clear.
So what would you do?
I had a lot of people under my
things?
command, and I used to root out cases of bullying and deal with them very severely, and I had, on several occasions, on 2 or 3 members of staff sacked, quite clearly because I thought there was misbehaviour, and in one case sexual harassment, so it is dealt with.
It's not they promote them. The officers that were bullying me were promoted.
Okay.